Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Larry Furrow from White Sands Missile Range. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you for joining us once again on another beautiful New Mexico morning. Another beautiful, windy New Mexico morning. Our commander, Brigadier General Jerry Laws, assumed command of the range in June of 1994. General Laws is a field artillery officer and an Army aviator. In 1990, he commanded the 75th Field Artillery Brigade in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. His brigade fired the Army Tactical Missile System ATACMS for the first time in combat in Iraq. Prior to that, the only place ATACMS had been fired was here at White Sands. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the Commanding General of White Sands Missile Range, Brigadier General Jerry Laws.
Mr. Golden, Representative Brown, General Ward, fellow soldiers, airmen, sailors, and any Marines that might be in the audience, welcome. I'd like to welcome all of the members of the team that are going to put this together today. We're very pleased to be the real estate owners and to assist you in your endeavors today. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether most of you know this or not, but I was educated at the University of Oklahoma, and one of my favorite people is Will Rogers, and Will Rogers once said, if you can't improve on the silence, keep your mouth shut.
I'm not sure where that leaves me. Daniel S. Golden became the 9th NASA administrator in April 1992 and immediately began to earn his reputation as an agent of change in bringing reform and revitalization to America's space agency. Mr. Golden's first initiative was to bring NASA's budget process under control. He created a series of management teams to find ways to operate programs faster, better, and cheaper without compromising safety. His budgetary reforms streamlined major programs while some of the savings were reinvested in improvements to NASA's science and planetary exploration missions. Under Mr. Golden, the Discovery program, an entirely new class of planetary probes, was inaugurated. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Mr. Daniel S. Golden.
Congressman Brown, General Laws, Daniel Graham Jr., members of the military, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to be here today. And as I drove up in the bus, I thought about the opportunity of being connected with the heavens today. 35 years ago, we started sending people into space. And with the exception of 6 missions, we've been locked in Earth orbit for 35 years. And we've been locked in Earth orbit because we've been flying vehicles based on ballistic missile technology and based on technology of the 50s. And that's not what America's about. America's about opening a space frontier, doing bold new things. And I'd like to salute every human being that participated in the development and design of that vehicle that's sitting out there. Today is a stepping stone because we're going to prove out some very, very crucial technologies. But more than that, it's a signal that we're going to open the space frontier, we're going to leave Earth orbit, and America is going to lead the world in space in the 21st century. And the DCXA is the first step in that direction. I would hope that every child in school today will have a hope that they could be able to go into space some decades from now because of the work that's going to take place here. And it's fitting that it's here at White Sands, and it's fitting that the operational team numbers 30 people, not 30,000 people like we have on some other vehicles. And this is the difference, and this is the change. And we're going to spend our dollars very wisely to put it into breaking the barriers to spaceflight and not to subsidize a bunch of people here on the ground. It's a new direction, it's a new way, and it's an unbelievably exciting place to be. This is the first time I'm going to see the DCXA fly, so I'm going to sit here and I'll have goosebumps with the rest of you. Thank you very much. At this point, it gives me tremendous pride to introduce one of the biggest supporters of the space program, the United States Congress, a man who's been with us through the ups and downs, has supported us, has chided us to do better, has pushed us, but in the end, he has the same vision that we all have, and that's to open the space frontier for the next generation of Americans. I'd like to now introduce George Brown of California, and he'll make his statements.
Thank you very much, Dan. I'm delighted to be here and to participate in this occasion with the great team that has been working on it, the NASA industry team, which is setting new standards for how you accomplish the goals of the space program, and of course it's applicable to any other program that the government wants to get into. Today the name of the game is effective partnerships, and this is the best example that I can think of an effective partnership. Now, Mr. Golden indicated that I am a supporter and have been a supporter of the space program for a number of years. He probably doesn't realize I grew up reading science fiction, and I was already flying in space when I was a teenager, you know, in my mind. But I have been on the so-called Space Committee since 1965, which is, I wish Dan Golden had been with NASA that long. We would have accomplished some of these things that we are about to accomplish here with this program today. I'm very proud of it. I want to see this country be first in space, as Dan Golden said. I think it's an example of where our leadership will pay off in many, many ways for the benefit of not only the United States, but for humanity. And I see this event today as being a critical stepping stone, a measurement of how far we have come, and an indication of how far and how fast we can go. So I'm pleased to be here. I might say this is somewhat reminiscent of my own district over in California. I represent a part of San Bernardino County, which is the largest collection of mountains and deserts in California, so it doesn't look too bad to me out here.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dave Swain has spent his 32-year career at McDonnell Douglas on the leading edge of aerospace. In his current position, Mr. Swain, Vice President and General Manager of Advanced Systems and Technology, more commonly referred to as Phantom Works, leads McDonnell Douglas corporate work in advanced technology and advanced systems. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Mr. Dave Swain.
Good morning. What an exciting day. It's great, beautiful weather, nice and cool, nice breeze. Maybe this is a picture of our future. As Mr. Golden said, we started entering the space business about when I started my career, about 32 years ago, 35 years ago. We started having a vision of what things could be, but quite frankly, we've just begun. This program, the DCX and DCXA, has been a teamwork of government and industry, of NASA, Department of Defense, McDonnell Douglas, and other industry partners to get where we are today. And that partnership will have to continue to meet our full objectives. Within McDonnell Douglas, we have multiple divisions involved. We have divisions in St. Louis, divisions in Huntington Beach. Our Long Beach, from our commercial aircraft perspective, is also involved, ensuring we provide a good product. The vehicle itself has been assembled and tested in Huntington Beach. We have with us today our Senior Vice President and in charge of our Space and Defense Systems, Mr. Bill Olson. Bill, would you like to say a few words? Thank you, Dave. We've been in the, McDonnell Douglas has been in the launch vehicle business for about 40 years. We're at a turning point right now. This is the future that we're looking at here, and this is what's going to get us into the next 40 years. We are committed to the low-cost access to space. We're working on that with our expendable launch vehicles, but again, what you're seeing here today is really the future. We understand Dan Golden's vision. We know that we've got to help get the cost down so that people can get into space. The Phantom Works that Dave Swain heads, that organization, what it's all about is taking best practices throughout our corporation and making it easy and quick to get new technology and processes into our product. And that's working very closely with our customers. I can't think of a better example of how to do that than what's been shown and will be shown in DCXA. I want to say good luck to the team. It's a great government industry team. I also want to say it's personally an honor for me to be here today, and it's an honor for McDonnell Douglas to be part of this team. Thanks. What this program represents to us is breakthroughs in terms of processes on how we do business, as well as the technologies that we place in our business. Today you will see new technology in terms of the use of composites for structures and tanks, aluminum lithium technology that's a first, and integrated into a vehicle that will be really reusable. In terms of process technologies, is how we do business. NASA has been challenged to have an extremely small program office. As those of you there last night, I described 2 people in the program office. We've been challenged to have a very small engineering and support team, and we have a very small team. Supporting the launch today will be 16 people, compared to the thousands that exist today in launching our vehicles. What's this all mean? These are key elements in achieving the vision of a reusable launch vehicle in the 21st century that can operate and provide our commercial users access to space at less than $1,000 a pound. What's it going to take to get from where we are today to the future? It's going to take revolutionaries. It's going to take innovators. It's going to take leaders with vision, leaders that have courage to take risk, and leaders that have wisdom to balance those risks with expectations. We're very fortunate right now to have such a leader in Mr. Golden. We really appreciate you're here today to see that first launch. We're expecting the best. Each of these launches we learn something, and from that learning we make one more step toward our ultimate vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Golden, will you please return to the lectern?
We're going to fly today, and then we're going to fly again, and we're going to fly again, and then we're going to fly another machine, X-34, and then we're going to fly the X-33, and by the end of this decade, we're going to prove what some in the Beltway say can't be done with certainty, that you could have single stage to orbit. And we're going to do it because some of the planes are going to crash, and some of them are going to fly. But each time we have a problem, we're going to pick ourselves up and keep on going, and not look back, but look forward. And we're going to have a nice smooth transition. We're going to fly the shuttle safely until we can replace it. But by God, we are going to replace the shuttle. And there are wonderful people working on the shuttle, and they've reduced the operating cost of that shuttle by $1 billion a year to make monies available to do this, but they're doing it by flying it safely. And this is going to be wonderful. And you know, throughout history there have been people who know with certainty what can't be done. Lord Kelvin of the Royal Physics Society in England, before the Wright brothers, said it'll be impossible to have a heavier-than-air ship. But the Wright brothers did not listen to him. Daniel Webster stood on the floor of the U.S. Senate And he said, "Why explore west of the Mississippi River? It's a barren wasteland full of savages and wild beasts." Lewis and Clark and President Jefferson knew different, and we wouldn't be standing here today if we listened to Daniel Webster. Now, there were many, many people some years ago who knew with certainty that for another 10, 20, 30 years, we could extend the ballistic missile technology of the 50s and keep America strong, and they said it is impossible to build a single stage to orbit. But there's a gentleman who had a vision. A gentleman named General Daniel O. Graham. And he pushed, and he prodded. And as a result of his vision, the United States set forth on the program to build the DCX. Daniel Graham was a great man, and I had the privilege of knowing him and interacting with him, meeting his family. We awarded him the highest honor that NASA could award a civilian. But Daniel Graham is not with us. We think today it's very, very appropriate to recognize the vision of General Daniel Graham, a man who knows what can be done, who knew with certainty, didn't react to those who knew with certainty what couldn't be done. So we're going to unveil a new patch today. Do we have the patch? Whoa. Hold up. And the patch says on top, the Clipper Graham. It's no longer the DCXA, it is now the Clipper Graham. Dedicated to the memory of Lieutenant General Daniel O. Graham. We have 500 patches, and everyone's going to go home with a patch today. And after the flight today, this is the symbol that goes on the machine, and it's no longer the DCXA, it's the Clipper Graham. And it'll be the first in a series of many, many vehicles, and it really gives me tremendous pride to do this. Another person who has been tremendously supportive of this activity is Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, who couldn't be with us today, and he asked me to read this note to you. To the family and friends of Lieutenant General Daniel "Danny" Graham, I am sorry I cannot be with you all today as you pay a special honor to Lieutenant General Daniel Graham. General Graham did so much to alert our citizens as to the vital role of space in preserving our security and advancing our prosperity. Like the great infantryman he led us to take step after step towards a strategic goal: cheap, plentiful, and reliable access to the space frontier. We all know that what is special about the DCXA, now the Clipper Graham, is what is on the inside. Under the aeroshell, you won't just see new technologies, you'll see the results of lots of hard work by aerospace engineers at McDonnell Douglas, NASA, and elsewhere. But I know it was a labor of love for them, just as Danny's work for the single stage to orbit was a labor of love. You see, on the outside, Danny Graham was a tough general. But on the inside, he was full of love for humanity and of hope for a better tomorrow, which is why we are so grateful to him today. God bless you all, and God bless America. Dana Rohrabacher, Member of Congress. I'd like to now take the opportunity to introduce the next in the line, Daniel Graham, the son of Lieutenant General Daniel O. Danny Graham.
Let me take a peek at this. I didn't get to see it. Oh, I am really, this is a surprise, and I'm really moved. Golden, Jack Mansfield, Gary Payton, and a couple of
a couple of dear friends of my father's who I know are here, Congressman George Brown and Lieutenant Colonel Jess Bonneville, dear friends of my father's. And I want to thank you for honoring the memory of my father. It's truly touching. And it's truly a fitting way to do it because he really was a man of action, and we're going to see some action today, and this is exactly what he would like to see. And I almost feel inadequate standing in as his surrogate here with all this accomplishment behind me. But I'll try to stand, personae patris, and try to give you some of the sentiments I think that he would give you if he could be here in the flesh, and I assure you that he is here in spirit. This is what I think he'd tell you. He'd tell you that one of the most amazing things about the entire DCX program is that it has been an example, a truly American example of heroic humility. And I'll explain what I mean by that. One, there is heroic patience at work here. I see gentlemen out here that I know for their entire careers have been dreaming and pushing for this concept of the single stage to orbit spaceship. They've been working it for at least 35 years. It's been their dream. My father had the great fortune of being in a position to act as a catalyst. Maybe they finally get find that wedge and get it to the right people. It has been an exercise in heroic selflessness. Everyone that I know that has worked with this project, and I've had the honor to meet so many, have worked tirelessly without ever worrying about who's watching. It's just been the effort, get this mission done, make this technology work, and it's kind of born almost, and I'll tell you an anecdote of how it got started with my father. He took this technology with a half a dozen of key players, and he took it into then Vice President Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle was convinced that my father was coming in to once more thump the tub for the Strategic Defense Initiative, and was very much surprised to find that he was in there, worrying about this new technology, single stage to orbit. Now, the administration through Dan Quayle was so impressed that there was anything so important to get my father off his original agenda that it must be that important. And I think that contributed to get it. There again, that's an example of kind of the selflessness, the heroic humility of this technology. There's been heroic frugality at work here. Everything is on time, below budget. Why you think Dan Golden was financing this with his own Visa card, that it was working so well. And lastly, there's this heroic practicality at work here, and which is going to yield just earth-changing consequences for me and for my children and for General Graham's great-grandchildren, because with inexpensive access to space, we're going to be able to change the way we humans on this earth operate. We're going to be able to provide, we're going to be able to get access to all the limitless resources of space. Over 70% of the people who live on this world right now have never had any access at all to electricity or communications. It's a distribution problem. That problem will be solved by virtue of our cheap access to space. We will solve the problem of securing space for free men, and free men will become the gatekeepers of space and will ensure peace. And although my father, a lot of people don't realize it, but everyone in uniform certainly does, and I did when I was in uniform, peace is our dream. Peace is our dream. The nuclear weapon was the terror that motivated my father to do all of his work in the last half of his life. And securing the peace with this technology will certainly be the dream that he wanted to see come true. So, but there's one last point I want to make about being this heroic humility of the DCX program. Just remember one thing. It isn't boasting if it's real. And what we're doing here, it's real. You can take great pride in it, and you can do so in all humility. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our historic ceremony. Again, we would like to thank you for joining us. We're still scheduled to fly at approximately 10:15. If you will listen over the PA system, you will hear the mission coverage commentary that is being sent over NASA television. On this commentary will be explained the flight profile today and a countdown. Now, I'll also come back and come back up here in about 5 minutes prior to flight to give you a warning order. Thank you.
Sequence has been initiated.
Mark, 60 seconds and running. Mark, 60 seconds and running. Liftoff.
Engine chill and final bit. Fans are off. Heaters are off.
5-5.
Tank press look good.
Roger.
Launch commit process initiated. Engine out monitoring process initiated. Flight limits.
Minus 4-5.
Hydrogen is now flowing through the engines. Liquid hydrogen chill down sequence has begun.
Minus 3-5.
You're off by a couple seconds. We'll pick it up at 10.
Mark, 30 seconds and running. Mark. Minus 2-5. Operation Kilo Alpha 20, 19,
We are approximately 15 seconds from
17, 16, 15, 14, 13,
Correction, we're standing
12,
by for
11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark, we have ignition. Plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, plus 6, plus 7, plus 8, plus 9, plus 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, plus 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27.
Everything looking good on the vehicle as we're continuing to fly upward.
Translation, landing low thrust.
We're on the way down. Engines coming up to slow the vehicle.
Landing Q limit.
We are now descending at 110 feet per second.
Out of 1,000. Landing high thrust.
Engines coming up to slow the vehicle further.
Gear down, lock.
Gear is down, descending toward touchdown.
Cell ramp down.
Plus 60 seconds.
Small negative.
Yeah, we have touchdown.
Vehicle's landed.
Engines off.
Okay, with that call, the engines have stopped, the vehicle has landed, and initial indications are that we've had a good flight of the Clipper Graham, this being the second flight of the Clipper Graham in the DCXA program.
PE, DFM, do you copy?
Post landing.
The onboard computer is now beginning to automatically safe the vehicle. The computer has commanded the vent valves in both the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen tanks to open.
Going to button up and we'll get back in command here. Roger.
We are beginning to reduce pressure to ambient pressures.
Button up.
NASA program manager Dan Dumbacher has just reported that we've had a very good flight.
The crew end of the bird looks extremely good.
Roger that.
Goes up, must come down, but never down like this before. A remarkable test flight for the next generation of American spaceships. In New Mexico today, a dramatic look at the shape of things to come in the U.S. space program. A prototype of a prime candidate to replace the aging and expensive U.S. space shuttle fleet got a chance to rise and shine today. It's high-tech, at the cutting edge, and cutting costs. Scott Pelley has our Space Odyssey and its new oddity.
6, 5,
Today on the sand where America's space program began.
1. Mark, we have ignition.
A rocket called the Delta Clipper opened a competition to revolutionize space travel. The goal is a replacement for the shuttle that is so simple, it will perform like an airliner and cut costs by 90%. NASA's Gary Payton
Today it costs about $10,000 a pound to get something into orbit. We're pushing that to be $1,000 a pound.
The shuttle is old and complex. Built in the 70s, NASA now has trouble finding some spare parts. Launching it takes 3 months and 10,000 people. The new aim is to launch in 3 days with a staff of 50. 3 companies are vying to build the prototype. 2 propose landing like the shuttle, but the Clipper returns like Buck Rogers, as captured by this CBS remote camera. Taxpayers will chip in $1 billion for the prototype, but NASA says it will not pay for the actual ships, even when the current shuttle faces obsolescence in 15 years. And that may be the most revolutionary aspect of this project, not the technology, but the financing. For the first time, it will be up to the aerospace companies to pay for the construction and operation of the nation's space fleet, and up to the companies to figure out how to make a buck doing it.
We don't even know the possibilities of what can be done in space, and we won't until the private sector starts acting like entrepreneurs and decides they want to go out there and find what they can.
This month, NASA will pick a prototype. Then, after tests, the winning company will decide whether to produce the shuttle replacement. In the 21st century, America's presence in space may depend more on a balance sheet than the balance of power. Scott Pelley, CBS News, at the White Sands Missile Range.
What goes up must come down, and engineers at NASA are certainly glad of that as they take another step forward in space flight. What is 42 feet tall, can soar nearly 2,000 feet above the Earth, and then land upright? Answer, NASA's Delta Clipper, newly renamed the Clipper Graham. The experimental unmanned rocket spent just over 1 minute in flight this morning before landing vertically, as we mentioned. The rocket may eventually replace the shuttle for carrying cargo into space.